Really, we just came here to use the bathroom.
So what is this? New Visions, books, and gifts?
How many of you are here for the first time seeing us? Ooh, welcome.
You better. You better believe it. So, they would like for us, what we typically do is start our Friday night forums with a who-we. And a who-we is exactly what it sounds like. So on the count of 3, we're just going to go who-we together. And then we'll talk about why we do a who-we after we do who-we. Are you ready for your who-we? And those of you who are here for the first time are thinking, should we just leave now or wait? Trust. 1, 2, 3. Who-we! Yes. So, what happened in the room? Look at you. Most of you are smiling, looking very happy, and that's a good thing. And especially when energy like that is shared. It makes all the difference in the world. And that's the big message of the angels this night. And we're going to talk about some very curious things, some very important things, especially in our society now. And Katie's going to talk first, and then, as always, so we're over at the restaurant tonight, and I have no idea what we're going to talk about because I rest solely in their presence. And sat down at the restaurant, and within 5 minutes, I have a 45-minute presentation for you tonight because they give us an acronym and then tell me what we're going to be talking about. So, and it's fun, and it is in my pocket because I would have no idea what this. And you think I'm kidding? This is an ad from the back of the restaurant.
How it happened.
And we'll be talking about that, and it'll be fun. So you get to see the unveiling on that.
And I will write on the board for you.
Yes, you will, because you don't want me writing on the board, because you won't be able to read it.
Should have been a doctor.
He is.
You're right, he is. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yes. Good thing you don't have to write any scripts. So, there's some really fun and interesting stuff going on out there, and they keep bringing us back to a few very important things to do. And they've pretty much told us that they really want us to begin and end our day with intention setting. Why would that be important? Anybody? Sets the tone for your day. Yep. Anything else? Mm-hmm. And if you do it right before you go to sleep, it helps reprogram your unconscious and your subconscious mind toward the things that you want instead of the things that you don't want. We are incredibly powerful creators and manifestors. That is the gift that we are given because we are a part of that which created all. We can't help but create. The problem is a lot of us do it unconsciously. And then we just kind of go off. And then we think, why is all this weirdness going on in my life? Because you're not paying attention to what you're doing, right?
And you don't create in a vacuum.
No, you're not here
people
alone.
creating around you. We are in a sea of free will. Which means...
Doing the backstroke.
Sometimes you gotta do the backstroke.
Yes. So, I brought props tonight. How fun. Yay! So, you have your favorite pair of shoes, right? Just go and grab them, right? Okay. So, I want to go to the beach. I'm going to the beach. Woohoo! Do those look like the right shoes for the beach? No? How come?
You can take them off before you get in the sand.
Good. Then you don't need any shoes, right?
Right.
Okay. Oh, but those are my favorite shoes. Okay, well, I'll just grab something else then.
That would be Hirt. If it's fast, it works.
Not the right shoes for the beach? No? Okay. All right.
I don't know what you're doing at the beach.
Maybe the Pebble Beach. Maybe I shouldn't go to the beach. I don't seem to have the right shoes. Huh.
I'm digging for treasure.
What if I want to go to a wedding? Ooh, get all dressed up and dolled up. Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, some of the weddings we've been to, yes.
You gotta know our circle. The circle we're in.
Now, I have my Doc Martens on for that. Thank you very much. They were perfect. Okay. Oh, it's winter. It's 20 degrees out. 2 feet of snow, right? I want to go out and play in the snow. Are these the right shoes for that? Now, if you ask one of our sons, yes, he wears flip-flops all the
Honest
time.
to God.
So, if we're going to go out and do all these different things, do we just grab any pair of shoes and run out the door? We don't, do we? We look at what do we have. Ooh, let's see. So, what are these for? Did I mention? The wedding, right? Yes. These shoes have just recently been to a wedding, in fact. How about these? The snow.
Or kicking your husband's butt whenever he gets.
Yeah, these are good for that.
Oh, there's some butt
Yeah.
kicking boots. That's what I'm saying.
What are these good for? Just walking around, jogging, maybe a trail, because these are actually Gore-Tex, so I got these so that they were waterproof. So I can use these for trail hiking, right? How about these? The beach, right? We pay more attention to picking out our shoes than we pay attention to setting up our energy for our day. The Christ consciousness came through probably, about 3-4 months ago. Yeah. Time.
A while.
Time I am not good with. And he said, if you are going out onto a rough road, do you want to go out there in bare feet? No. Do you want to wear sandals, even? Maybe not. If you're going to go out there on a gravel road, you need something that's got a sturdy bottom, that's going to protect your feet. Maybe
And we'll keep the gravel from getting inside and underneath your foot.
Right. These are not gravel road shoes, are they? Nope. And he said, you need to spend time preparing yourself for your day, because every day is a road that you're on. Every day is a journey. It's a little piece of the long journey of life, but you're always moving. And he said, if you go out there with the wrong shoes, do you blame the road? No. Thank you. The road is just the road. How are you prepared to deal with that road? And what shoes have you taken time to pick out? The energy that you bring into your day for that journey makes all the difference. It is as important as the shoes that you pick to wear. When you start your day knowing that you may be going into a difficult conversation or a meeting or something, you're going to set your intention. How would you set your intention for that, do you think?
Be focused.
Look, I'm going to go into a difficult meeting. I'm going to go and I'm going to talk like this. What's the matter with you? Can't you see it my way?
Oh, that would be these boots.
I'll pick you up. Where's the beach? She was talking about the beach, the beaches. That way.
So
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not the best approach for a difficult meeting.
So maybe the best approach would be, help me to go in with a focus of love. Help me say what needs to be said, but help me have the right ears to hear, so that this is a true conversation and not a power struggle or a control game, right? Even with people who are very controlling. Because where does control come from? Fear. Remember that some people out there are in a lot of fear, and that's why they take so much care and energy to be in control. When you realize they're in fear, then you bring in compassion and say, wow, you're really bothered by this. I can see that. And I don't want you to be bothered because I think we can work well together to get this thing done. So why don't we just sit down and have a conversation? What would you like to see happen? And then let them talk.
Is this what you do to me every day?
Where were you?
This is so familiar.
Yeah. No, yeah. Sometimes I just put these boots on and come on. All right. No. But if you, this is a very interesting time right now. First off, stop watching the news. Because the news would have you believe that there's more not good stuff going on than there is good stuff. And the truth is, it's actually the opposite. It is where the focus is being put. But you have free will. You can choose where you want to put your focus. So you put your focus toward that which you want to create. And they have had us twice a day, every day, sending love and light to all of the political leaders of this country so that they begin to have clarity in their eyes and their minds and purity in their hearts and do what's right and best for the largest number of people. Because what's our alternative? If we keep sending them the energy that they are putting out, what are we creating?
More of.
Fear. Yep, more fear. Is there enough fear? So the antidote to fear is love, is compassion, is patience, is taking time to listen instead of trying to figure out what you're going to say next. Because that's what we're taught. We're really not taught to listen very well.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah. And I have a lot of friends who are Indigenous Americans, and almost all of them have some sort of a story or a proverb about the fact that the proportions are exactly the way they're supposed to be. You have two of these and one of these. Pay attention and listen for what's going on truly in the conversation. And so when you take the time to set your day, and if you're not sure what you're going to encounter, then just say, help me to be a vessel of love. I love the St. Francis prayer, help me to sow joy where there is pain, right? It's a perfect prayer. Help me to be the vessel of love, and help me to really pay attention and to look for where there's pain and provide love to try to help heal it. And you can't be responsible for other people's choices. But if you send loving energy toward them, that will help. If you send the other stuff, I guarantee you it won't. It will not help, right? So they're asking all of us really to spend some time picking out the right shoes for our day. Picking out the right energy to bring forward into your day. It will begin to make a huge difference in your life. Things will go effortlessly. And if you encounter someone, then you'll know, I'm supposed to encounter this person for a reason. So this isn't about me not getting there in time. This is about me coming upon this person, and maybe they just need some love sent to them. And so that's what I'll do. You don't have to tell them you're doing it. You know, for some folks, what do you mean you're sending me love? You don't have to tell them. In fact, sometimes it's best if you don't, because those random acts of kindness, those anonymous acts of kindness, you just bless people. Wrap them in light and love. And leave them an extra large tip. Even if they're a cranky waitress, there must be a reason. Leave them an extra tip. Then they'll go, wow. Does all that make sense? So in the face of adversity and pain And fear, they're asking us to bring forward love. Is it going to take practice? Yep, because that's not what we're taught. We're taught to respond in kind, almost to the point where we do it without thinking. And so now they're asking us to really think. What shoes are you going to walk out into the world with today? Does that make sense? Awesome.
Am I up? No, I'm
Yes,
Tom.
you're not laying
Hello,
down.
I'm Tom. For those of you at home, hello. So this is drug-free, caffeine-free. This is all natural,
Yes,
I
it
swear.
Let me know when you're ready.
So we're gonna get to that in one hot second. So as Katie's talking, I'm being still, and every time we do a presentation, it's specifically for the group we're with, and they want us to talk about something before I get to what's in my pocket.
Lots of cool shoes in the room too. All of a sudden I'm paying attention to everybody's shoes. And these shoes are definitely for being here.
How many of you know and can honestly say, I fully own and express my full worth? I know what I'm worth. I have no worthiness issues. I know what I'm worth, and I bring my full worth to the world. Exactly. We're taught, and we talk about this every time because repetition is a good thing. We're taught that it's better to give than receive, right? Okay. The Christ Presence yesterday morning said something very, very, very curious. Was yesterday Thursday? There's been a lot between yesterday morning and today. Said something very, very, very curious, and they asked me to share it with you all. And it was curious because I was driving, of all things. And as I was driving, the Christ Presence came through and said, it is important for you all to know your worthiness. Do you understand that it is not just a gift you give you? Tell me more. And the Christ Presence said, when you accept your full worthiness and bring the fulfillment, full two words, fulfillment of that which is you to the world in love, the world needs that. It is not just a gift you give yourself. It's a gift you give the entire world. Tell me more. So let's talk about what Katie was talking about and somebody having a bad day. What are you taught by the world to do if somebody is short with you or treats you in a mean way? Be rude back. Yeah, but who do you think? And I should. And we have so many things. And I showed them, and your neck starts to wobble. You get a circle snap in there, and you know, and the testosterone starts to flow. So
you, baby.
Will that ever make it better?
No.
Exactly. So when we fulfill in love and light, we bring an entirely different energy forward, but we have to know of our worth. We have to know of our worthiness to receive that. And when we know our worth, then we bring the full measure of our gifts to the world. That begins a ripple. So think of it, and we have a beautiful Native American guy we work with who gave us a perfect example of this. How many of you have ever walked in a lake? All of you, right? What happens when you walk into the lake? It moves. You get ripples in the water.
Get cold.
And you can get cold depending on the temperature of the water. And if you're, never mind, we're not going to go there. So the ripples go out in the water. We have fun fun here. We're grown up. So the ripples go out in the water, don't they? And he said, do you understand that you do that all the time? That water is given you as a teaching tool. You are always sending out waves. What are the waves you're sending out? And then, not just what are you sending out, what then is that impact on those around you? Is it making their life and their day better? Because now this energy starts to get communal. If you were having a bad day, none of you have ever had bad days. I know that. It's just me. When you're having a bad day and someone is nice to you, what does it do for you? Sure, absolutely. And you get this warmth. What then do you typically do to then the people around you that you've been snippy with? Is your energy changed? And then what starts to happen there? The energy is contagious. What are we putting forth in our world? The more we own our worthiness is not just, so the more we own our worthiness, the more we have to bring to the world. Please understand, you owning your worthiness is not just for you. Because it impacts those in your world. And truly makes a significant difference. That's a conscious choice of what shoes we're going to wear in our day. If you know you're going to some place you don't like going to, they have a field day with that, by the way, on the other side. They said, do you understand how insane your system is? Because you've been taught to race to a place that you really don't want to go to. And then gesture and get angry at people who delay you getting where you don't want to go to. And it's like, oh my God. And you don't think about that until you're just like, really? It's absolutely true. You know, I'm racing to get to somewhere. Now, I happen to love all the places I work most of the time. And now that I do this all the time, I can't wait to get where I need to go because this is what I do. This is my life. But you see people all the time going where they don't want to go and then getting angry at people for slowing them down getting there. What shoes, when we know we're going into these environments, are we putting on? Where's the service? Yeah, no kidding.
Just kidding.
Where's the service in what you're doing? And if they've taught us all along, we've done tens of thousands of readings. And I will tell you this, in most instances, the other side does not say change your job. The first thing they say is change your attitude. Then your job can change, because if there's service in that job, you have the opportunity to bring a gift forward. You've forgotten that.
It's like going out onto the gravel road and you're wearing these and you're getting mad at the road. Put some different shoes on.
Right.
And watch what happens.
Exactly. And think about what you're bringing to this place, whatever this place is. Understand, and I will tell you this as an absolute rule that I have seen. If you don't deal what you're dealing with where you are and you go to a new place, the lesson you didn't learn there will follow you to the new place. Is this just me making that up? Have any of you had that experience in life? Have any of you seen other people have that happen in their life? Absolutely. So it's so important that we then, and their word is discipline. And discipline, we confuse discipline and punishment. They're two different things. Discipline is practice, for lack of a better word. Actually, that's a great word. If you don't like discipline, use practice. Punishment is a whole other thing. That's when you did something and I'm going to cause you pain. That's not discipline. People say they discipline a child. That's not discipline. That's punishment. If you're hurting a child, that's punishment. Discipline is actually setting your focus to an intention, to a practice, to a way of being, and committing to it.
It's part of the word disciple.
It sure is. Then the question becomes, so now they're bringing it around full circle for you, your angels and guides. What are you worth? In the bringing forth of this energy, is it more appealing to you to be in a place where you feel connected and fulfilled and know the truth of your service? Or is it better for you to go, I can't believe that, they take it, what am I, they're doing there? I can't even believe this, and they treat me like this, and
And knowing that energy is contagious then, which do you want to bring forward?
And with this understanding, never, ever, 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 ever in this life, creating more guilt or shame because you will never feel bad enough to make something good. They've been working that concept for us for the past 4 years now. I'm finally getting it. So I don't mind repeating it to you all every now and then. Because that's something that's a lifelong deal. Especially when we've been trained to go to feeling bad about things as a way to getting our way. And the Christ presence, one of the first things the Christ presence said to us is, I would like for you to increase the level of sophistication for how people respond to each other in your world. And I said, explain that to me, Sue. How old were you when you were taught to have when you learned to have a temper tantrum? What happens when we don't get our way to this day?
Oh, you were doing it at 1? Wow, you're advanced. You are an advanced young man.
So then it's important that we find the place of maturity, of love, and of light, and of wholeness. So that we don't just get angry and say, well, that's just it, and this is the only way I know how to respond to the world. We can do something different. We can bring forth different energy. And we can have peace. And we can create more peace in the world. Does the world need more peace after all? What do you think?
Can you ever have too much peace? No.
Never in any of this. Please understand, and this has been also an absolute rule, that they want us to feel bad about the choices we've made in our life. They want us to correct the choices we've made in our life. In fact, the big thing they've been saying to us for a number of years is mistakes corrected without punishment. And they look at our systems, and I have to say this, and I'm sorry, because I used to be a state law enforcement officer and did stuff with law enforcement and stuff. It was a long time ago. Like another life, trust me. But if you look at what we do to people who have committed crimes, how are we in any way changing them so that they can be healthier additions to society? And this is what the other side said, and it blew me away, and it still blows me away to this day because they only came through with this about 6 months ago. They said, what were the conditions of your zoos, where you kept animals, in the 40s, 50s, and 60s? What were zoos? Essentially, you'll go to see animals, and what would they be in? A cage with concrete around it, right? What happened in the 70s and 80s? There was a movement, and what did they decide to do?
They got out.
They did. What did they put them in? More natural enclosures, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the what thing to do. Begins with an H, ends with an E. It's the what? Humane.
Thing to do.
What are you in when you go to jail? A concrete structure with bars. We are kinder to so-called animals than we are to each other. Oh my God. And we expect them to get out of that and be contributing members of society because we damaged an already damaged person more. Do you see the insanity in this?
And then when they get out, they've got a record. And
Right, let's make it harder for them to get out into society and do something productive. And it's not until you start to look at this and you see the undercurrent that it's all out of control. It's all out of fear. And when you knock on fear's door, fear always answers. And they're asking us to stop knocking on fear's door, quite frankly, and start believing in ourselves. Being the gift to you is not just a gift you give to you. If you feel like it's selfish, if I treat myself well, if I take care of myself, if I nurture myself, that's selfish. I need to take care of other people. Not so much. Because when you take care of you, you are then in a better place to take care of those around you. Does this make sense? Is there any untruth in anything that's been spoken tonight thus far? Nor will there be. This is all about awakening from the terror of fear, because you only have two choices in life, love and fear. They're all fruits of those trees. Awakening from the terror of fear and the nightmare to the beauty and the wholeness and the connection in love. And all that is required is a choice. Right now. And right now. And right now. On the count of three, we're going to do who-wee because we're getting kind of intense right now. So, 1, 2, 3. Who-wee! Nice. I like it. All right. So, we were over. This is for you. Truly made for you. The secret.
Do you want me to do this?
Right, and then fill them in. Just do that first and then do one at a time. Okay. Thank you, dear. You're a nice girl.
Want to make sure I get it right.
Oh, honey. However you do it is right, dear.
I have witnesses.
And it's recorded. Oh my God, again. So, while we were over there, and it truly, and I do have witnesses to this too, literally inside of 5 minutes, they said, get a pen. I got a pen.
Can
I sat
everybody
down.
see the word here, even at the bottom? Yeah? It says
Okay.
forgive.
Building off of what we were just talking about with worthiness. This is huge. Because if you're going to accept worthiness, it's going to be so important for you to have that for yourself and for those in your life. Because, dear ones, that's the way home to peace. There are two, and they introduced this just last night, so you are really getting things fresh. There are two energies that fear puts much of its effort into. We've talked about one, control. The other is judgment. And we don't even realize we're doing it. How many of you drove here tonight? None of you had any thoughts of other people on the road, right? That's one of the easy ways to. There's so much judgment still floating around in there. But we don't just do it to other people on the road, we do it to ourselves too. And as bad as it is that we do it to other people. And this is where they again use that word insane. Not that you are insane, but that the way we've been taught is truly insane because it's completely out of logic or reason. It's unbalanced. Does this all make sense so far? Okay. So, if you are in judgment, there's also a debt. that's released when you do that. This is huge, folks. This is how you change your life. If you want. A thought at a time. This is why it's called discipline. This is why they're called disciples. Disciples study a teaching. First letter. And you'll have to forgive me because I don't know what these are because I wrote it down and then I haven't looked at it since. So you're going to get it as I get it because I trust that they'll just tell me exactly what to say. And this comes forward. Is that faithful?
Yes, it is.
Can you reach?
I can. On my toes.
What does it mean to be faithful? What is faith? Yes, sir.
Faith is,
It's raising your hand and figuring that I'll get the answer when I raise my hand and they call me.
Seriously?
That's a perfect
That was a
example
perfect
of
demonstration of
Thank you.
faith.
It's trusting.
It's yes, exactly. Good job. Thank you for showing us how to do that. Faith is about the belief in the possibility of a change, a favorable change. I'm glad this is being recorded. I've never talked about this before. That's huge. That's understanding that you're not alone. Faith infers you are not on this road, on this journey, by yourself. That in fact, you have a belief in something larger than you. Even people who are atheists have faith. They have faith that there's nothing more to life than what they're experiencing. That's what they believe.
It's kind of funny.
It's this bigger theology of this is all there is.
Boy, are they surprised when they transition.
Oh my God.
We've talked
Just
to them. They're
true
like,
quick
I
story,
had
yeah.
no clue.
One of our friends was like all this woo-woo talk, seriously, and then he transitioned. And within about 3 weeks of the transition, he was like, oh, Tom.
It's like,
It was
holy
fabulous.
crap.
It was fabulous. It was worth the price of admission.
It was great.
So, to be faithful, full of faith, means to be aligned to the better and higher potential in connection with something bigger than me. But that I am a part of. Wow. Fear separates us from union and communion, which is our natural state in love. Why does fear feel so icky? Because you're pulling back and isolating your connection to all the potential resources that are there to help you deal with whatever you're dealing with in life. Fear makes us smaller. Faith makes us bigger. Faith reminds us that we are whole, that we are watched over and looked after. And that we are a piece and a part of that which is perfection. And that's where we come back to trust. Excellent. What's it mean to observe something?
To witness.
To witness. Nice word. I like that a lot. When you observe something, you witness it. Is it possible that when we observe some things, we put value on things? This is where we come back to what we were just talking about moments ago, and I had no idea where this was going tonight, neighbors and friends. You're getting it as I'm getting it. That's called judgment. You observe things, and we're trained to make judgments about that which we observe. Is this true, or am I making it up? True. What would happen? What's the opposite of judgment? Acceptance. Who said that? You get a cookie and a star. Acceptance.
Gabriel all over that.
Acceptance is the opposite of judgment. What if we observed and said, they're being perfectly them? They've been that way all their life. How can I expect it to be different? Would it be sane of me to expect them to be different from the last time I talked to them without intervening changes taking place in the meantime? So, through discipline, faithful observation. Let's put those two words together. We observe something, we see it. We hear it. We feel it. What does the word faithful in front of it do to the word observation? It takes away judgment and lifts the energy of the observation, doesn't it? Perfect answer. Thank you.
And if nothing else, it makes us go, well, maybe there's something I'm not seeing, so maybe I need to wait and observe some more before I make a decision.
I'll give you an example. They just showed this to me. This is funny. And you can't make this stuff up. Yesterday, I went down to shower, and I showered today too. I just, for the record, I just want to say that. I do that every now and then. And when I went down in the basement to shower, the sink had a steady stream of water coming from it. Now, in the past, I'd have looked at that and thought, oh my God, Katie, really, seriously, how hard is it with the thing all right? And I didn't even go there, which lets me know that I'm growing too. I'm serious. I gave myself a huge pat on the back about this. And I looked at that and I thought, I have to ask Katie to be a little more careful about pulling the thing down. Not a, oh, I can't believe that. So I go upstairs and I said, Kate, you might want to watch and be sure because it's one of these things, not a turny one. You know what that is, right?
It's got that
Shift.
thing.
Yeah.
And it, actually, if you put it all the way down like it would be if it's off, that's when it runs.
Curious.
So you have to find this
Sweet spot. We're getting a plumber there. It's okay. So, if any of you know plumbing, come see me after the show. So, but this thing's running like that, and I had thought it, and Katie said it. She said, I wonder if the cats go up in there because they jump up into the sink.
They love to get in the sink and let the
and
water.
Bump the handle and have the water run.
Because
And I said, you know, I got that exact same hit when I was down
and
there.
they're smart.
Maybe they let the water.
Maybe they wanted a drink.
Maybe they put down the thing and you know that it goes up and it lets the water go down the drain, and if it goes down, it starts bubbling up.
But it didn't do that.
Haven't done that yet. They
No,
haven't.
thank you. They haven't closed the thing. Wouldn't that be interesting?
They would put their paw in it and they would.
Yeah, they'd be pretty happy.
That's what they do. So when we have faithful observation, we've taken and please understand, this is something you can do every day. I'm telling you what they're telling me. I honestly don't know what the remaining words are. I wrote it down, purposefully stuck it in my pocket. I have no idea what's coming next. The only one I know in here for sure is G. It's God. That's the only one I know in all this equation. So, faithful observation.
Do you know why you misspell when it's this big? Anybody? You know why? Because your brain is seeing images now, not words. Because after a certain height, your brain is now not looking at it as a word unless you're way back there where you're sitting and going, she spelled it wrong. But when you're right up in front of it, now your brain is going, that's an image. So that's why you need spell check markers.
So faithful observation. As a result of this observation, something is happening. What does it mean when something is revealed?
Showing itself.
It's showing itself. What else? What?
It's unfolding.
With the revelation in the revealing, what does that mean?
Truth. The truth of it is being shown.
Not a cookie and a star.
Yes. She's reaching for the cookie.
I can give you a Tootsie Roll.
Revealing implies that something has been hidden. What are we taught? We're taught, just go for it. Make your judgment, move on. We got to be quick with this. This is not where we're going with this. I love this. By the way, I'm as jazzed about this as you hearing it, because I'm like, oh my God. Do you know how hard it is to do this and be this jazzed about
That's
when this
exactly
is going
where
on?
you're getting it from, by the way.
Revealing. Bringing something forward into the fore that has been hidden. As part of the word forgiveness, could there possibly be a place for that word in there? Just a little bit. God. There, I know that one. Now, that which is hidden. Revealing that which is false. In order to judge, we're knocking on fear's door. What does fear do? Fear separates.
He always answers.
Revealing God draws together. Brings us back in alignment with truth, with wholeness. It's really easy to watch other people's behavior and say, oh, boy, can you believe they did that? And we elected him or her, and not that we have any feelings there. But then,
Practice.
exactly, through discipline, you send them love. And say they got to be where they are. How would you like to have had their life that that's how they live? Not in judgment, but in acceptance and sending love and healing, because that's the only thing that can possibly make them better. We can't send enough anger at politicians. We can't send enough. Wayne Dyer said something very interesting. He said, who teaches you to hate people in other countries? We hate the Russians. He said, I don't know any Russians, and why would I hate them? Our government wants to hate the Russians. Politicians will want you to hate the Russians. The Russians are people. We're people. When we start to accept that we are one, in faith, connecting to something big, seeing what's there, looking for something that is unseen. It's revealing God. Do these 4 words have anything to do with forgiveness so far? Isn't this incredible? This is for you. I hope you own that. I hope you own that in your worthiness. I hope you own that is how important you are, that you're getting this message this night. And you're getting this message this night. Next word. Yes.
Next one after.
Yes. Thank you. You're like,
In.
as opposed to out. So go ahead and do the last one too. Thank you.
Care for everyone.
Wow. Wow.
Care for
What is that
everyone.
worth? What's that?
Care for everyone.
Yes, care for everyone. That's forgiveness. Thank you, Gabe. This is seeing, revealing. Now do you see the flow of this and the perfection of it? I didn't have to work for this. It came to me sitting in a restaurant. You don't have to work for your insight. All that required, it's required. You could go to Ford and get so much out of it. I said Forg. And understand that if it brings you home to light and love, you know you're knocking on the right door. But in forgiveness, we understand that we do not walk alone in this world. That as we judge another, that other was also and is part of Creator. I have never thought of this before. It stuns me. The depth of this, to be honest with you, and I'm not exaggerating, it's like, holy crap, I've never heard this explained this way. I've never thought of this. And it's perfectly beautiful, which is why I know. And they said, don't self-depreciate. This could come from you. It just isn't right now. When you judge another, you're forgetting that they are also a part of Creator. And you are judging against that which created it. Oh my God. Wow. That's huge. Our fear separates us and makes us want to be in a place where we're miserable and create more misery.
It also hides the truth.
And hides the truth. And what they're saying is when you forgive this faithful, deliberate, to a higher essence, a higher presence, looking at, revealing that which is unseen, that which we have forgotten in our fear. Now comes forward as the place and presence of God. Oh my God. And virtually everyone, even that one who you're thinking about, even them, woof. Even you. Now the circle has been complete. Now I understand, because I had no idea where they were going with the wording and stuff at the beginning of this discussion. Now do you understand how worthy you are, how important it is for you to receive and know of your worth and your beauty and your wholeness as that which is God in you? Because you create your life. You are a co-creator. By the way, you are also co-creator in a sea of co-creation. So if you look at some teachings, they'll say, well, if that came into your life, you created that with your thinking. And what they're telling me on the other side is not so much. That completely leaves out the fact that you are not creating in a sea of energy. As your energy grows, certainly your vibration will change and you will attract other higher vibrational energies to and around you, certainly. That will lift things. But this other stuff is still there to be dealt with. Which is why it's even more important that as a gift to the world, we know of our worthiness. And that's the call. Pay attention when this. Do you hear the call? Are you getting the call? To own this. To know of your worth. Instead of feeling like you're being selfish taking care of you, remember when you take care of you, that has an impact that goes out all around you. What does the world need more of?
Love.
You betcha. You're on your game tonight, buddy.
And remember, we were given the gift of free will to make choices and see what happens. That's life. That's the whole journey. And we're all out here doing our thing and experimenting and trying this and trying that. And so it's so important to remember that people are always doing the best they can with what they have available to them at that moment in time, including you. And instead of shaming yourself or the other person for the result they got, why? Instead say, so what could I do different next time? It's learning, folks. And just because we are adults doesn't mean we stop learning. We continue to learn till we leave here. And then we go on to another set of learning circumstances. That is the whole point. So don't be in a hurry, because, you got a lot of stuff going on after this. Take your time, enjoy, relax, take it in, observe, reveal what's really here. Wow, what's really going on here? We were driving one day and I said, wouldn't it be funny if you saw two people arguing and just came up and said, hey, what's going on? And just inserted yourself with this happy, bubbly energy, and they would go, what do you mean? I don't know, what's going on? Because sometimes we just need something to break that energy, right? To disconnect that current of negativity and go, oh, yeah, you're right. It's like our dog. If she's chasing something, all I got to do is throw water on her, and she's like, oh, what the heck? Because she can get so focused on that squirrel that she will run into a fence. And
Full bore. Full bore into the fence.
So when she's charging and I squirt her, it's like, oh. It's like she comes out of it, and then she shakes her head like, why'd you do that? And she totally forgets about the squirrel. It's funny.
She breaks the sound barrier
from
when
me.
she runs. She breaks the sound barrier when she runs. This is the fastest dog I have ever seen. When we had her in training, literally, they would put us a pasture across from each other, and we'd call her, and this entire side of maybe 20, 30 people would be going, oh, when she comes running full bore at us. So when she runs into a fence full bore, it's a big event.
She gets that from her mother.
Often when we think of forgive, we think about other people. What they want to focus on these last few moments is you forgiving. In order to do that, you must remember your worthiness. If God is in you, are you junk? It says, faithful observation, really God in virtually everyone. Are you everyone? Are you included in everyone?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Therefore, Going back to where this all started. Whenever you, that's perfect. You judge yourself. We talked about judgment in here too. You are separating yourself from the reality. This is revealing God in virtually everyone, revealing God in you. When we beat ourselves up, we forget our sacredness. And we forget our value. And that's the easiest time to step forward with what we learn in this world. That's why they ask us to do, oh, this is just so perfect. Coming back to where it all started with you, the morning and evening affirmations. Those morning and evening affirmations, they would like for you. I had to take my coat off, by the way. There's so much energy going through me right now. It's so hot. It's me, I know. So, and then I woke up. But no, those morning and evening sessions are so important because it's a time to step out of unconscious living. It's a time to step out of habit. Because we go in autopilot. And it's like getting behind the wheel of the car. You just start driving, right? You think about everything. When you're first learning to drive a car, you're on top of every move in the car. It shakes because you're constantly trying to adjust and everything. Is this true? Yeah. And then you get it after a while and you're like, I got this. And that's good in some applications, but in life, in living, what they're talking about here, not so much. Because in all that's brought forward are the lessons you've been taught. And now, see, here's more. They said, and how many examples have we shown you the insanity that exists? The complete lack of logic in how you treat yourselves and how you treat each other, and then expect for some different experience to occur. With but one gift, forgiveness. So much has to fall in place where you have the realization of who and what you are, who and what you're worth. That in fact you are sacred. That in fact you are whole. That in fact you are worthy. Do you suppose when you remember that, forgiveness is remembering who you are and what you are? Revealing God in virtually everyone.
It doesn't say everyone but me, because that would be forgive them.
Yes,
say
sir.
that.
Do you think it's virtually everyone because we're not perfect? You know what I mean? Like, so we can't necessarily expect ourselves to forgive everyone, virtually everyone.
So the virtual, I think, is in there for emphasis of
We get do as well as we possibly
as we can.
Yeah.
Understanding, hopefully, eventually, it'll be forgine. Or wait,
Guy.
for Guy, eventually.
Yeah.
But for right now, it's virtually.
That makes sense.
But the virtually also, they're telling me, is because our sense is to say, and that's why they said it, even that one. Even that one.
Mm-hmm.
And the one most people have even that one the hardest time with is the one they see when they look in the mirror.
Look at what is at the root of this word, though. Virtue. The E is missing, but it's still virtue. What is virtue? Virtue is basically your holiness, right? I mean, if you have a list of the virtues, they're all the good things that people aspire to do. So it's actions, but
It's so annoying.
it's part of virtually. So it kind of does bring it all the good stuff in there at the same time.
This night, you have been given an incredible gift. I have to tell you. This was absolutely perfect and absolutely beautiful. You're here at the beckoning of the universe, that you hear this message, that you own this message, that you bring this message forth into your world, that you bring this message home into your life.
Can you imagine what this place would be like if everybody got this?
If this
On a little
lesson
card?
went viral and went out into the world, would we have a different country? Would we have a different world? Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time we share it. Feel free to take a picture. Share it. Each time you share it, you learn it again. It roots deeper. Seeds are planted tonight. I'll let you know what they're telling you. Each time you share this, the seed has a chance to grow. The plant has a chance to grow. Spread its roots, deepen its roots. That goes out into the community around you as you share it. And then things start to get beautifully fun and miraculous. Because in the giving of that energy, when you're tapping into revealing God, now the miracles. Or do you have enough miracles in your day?
Who needs more miracles? So annoying. So unexpected.
So this is a chance, thank you. So if you don't mind, I'd like to do a collective because this was huge. A collective thank you. So by your intention, I want to thank Creator, beautiful beings of love and light, Christ's presence, constance, all beings of love and light, spirit guides, angels, archangels, elementals, who brought forth these messages. This has been beautiful. We receive it with open minds. We receive it with open hearts. Let us hear what we needed to hear. Let us then speak and bring to the world our gift in forgiveness. Let us own it in our heart and bear the treasure of God in us and in you. Thank you all so very much, and thank you. Woo! We gotta do a hooey. Are you ready for a hooey? 1, 2, 3. Hooey! Yes. Now
we're done. Thank you everyone for being here. We appreciate it. Now spend scandalous amounts of money in the store.